Right now, there's probably a narcissist in your life who has never, and I mean never, lost an argument. They could argue that the sky is purple, grass is blue, and somehow by the end of the conversation, you'd be apologizing for bringing up the weather and questioning your own eyesight. Welcome to Mind Vault, where we expose the dark side of human psychology. Today, I'm revealing the psychological warfare tactics that narcissists use to win every single argument. And more importantly, I'm going to teach you how to beat them at their own twisted game. But first, let me blow your mind with this statistic. According to research from the Cleveland Clinic, narcissists make up about 6% of the population. That means in any group of 20 people, there's likely at least one person who genuinely believes they're God's gift to humanity and has the arguing skills to prove it. Here's what makes narcissistic arguing so infuriating. They're not trying to find truth, solve problems, or reach understanding. They're playing a completely different game, where the only goal is to maintain their inflated self-image and crush your spirit in the process. It's like you showed up to play chess, and they're playing psychological warfare with rules they make up as they go along. The reason most people lose arguments with narcissists isn't because they're wrong or stupid. It's because they're playing by normal human rules like logic and empathy and good faith discussion. Meanwhile, the narcissist is over here using psychological manipulation techniques that would make a CIA interrogator proud. Let me show you exactly how they do it, and then I'll give you the tools to turn the tables. Narcissists have what psychologists call grandiose self-perception, combined with fragile ego regulation. In simple terms, they think they're amazing, but their self-esteem is actually built on a foundation of psychological quicksand. This creates a fascinating paradox. They're simultaneously the most confident and most insecure people you'll ever meet. When a narcissist enters an argument, they're not defending a position. They're defending their entire identity. To them, being wrong about anything, even something as trivial as what you had for lunch yesterday, is a direct threat to their core belief that they're superior to everyone else. This is why they fight so hard over the most ridiculous things. Here are the specific tactics they use to psychologically dominate every argument. Tactic number 1, the reality rewrite machine. Narcissists are masters at something called revisionist history. They don't just remember events differently. They genuinely seem to believe their alternate version of reality. It's like they have a personal fact checker in their brain whose only job is to make sure every memory makes them look good. You'll say, "Remember when you promised to pick up groceries and forgot?" And they'll respond with something like, "I never said I'd pick up groceries. What I said was that I might stop by the store if I had time, but then you got all demanding about it, so I decided not to enable your controlling behavior." Wait, what? Suddenly you're the controlling one for expecting them to follow through on a basic commitment. This is the narcissist's superpower. They can take any situation and spin it until they're the victim and you're the villain. The psychological principle here is called cognitive reframing, and narcissists use it like a weapon. They don't just disagree with your version of events. They create an entirely new narrative where their behavior was justified, misunderstood, or actually admirable. Tactic number 2, the emotional hijack. Here's where narcissists get really devious. They know that emotions cloud judgment, so they deliberately try to trigger your emotional responses to derail logical discussion. They might bring up your insecurities, past mistakes, or things you're sensitive about. Anything to get you emotionally activated. Once you're upset, angry, or hurt, they switch into calm and rational mode. Suddenly, they're the mature adult dealing with your emotional outburst. They'll say things like, "I can't have a reasonable conversation with you when you're being so emotional," or "You're proving my point by getting so upset." Such behavior is psychological manipulation at its finest. They pushed your buttons, but now they're acting like your emotional response is evidence that you're irrational. It's like someone poking you repeatedly and then acting shocked when you tell them to stop. The scientific term for this is emotional dysregulation induction. They deliberately dysregulate your emotions, then use your natural emotional response as evidence that they're the reasonable one in the conversation. Tactic number 3, the moving goalpost Olympics. Have you ever tried to pin down a narcissist on a specific point, only to find that the argument keeps shifting to different topics? That's because narcissists are Olympic-level goalpost movers. As soon as they start losing ground on one point, they pivot to something else. You might start arguing about them being late to dinner and somehow end up discussing your spending habits, your relationship with your mother, and that time 5 years ago when you forgot their birthday. By the end, you can't even remember what you were originally upset about. This technique is called topic dilution. They flood the argument with so many different issues that you can't focus on any single point long enough to win it. It's like trying to nail jelly to a wall. The moment you think you've got them cornered, they slip away to a completely different topic. Tactic number 4, the victim reversal spectacular. This is perhaps the most infuriating narcissistic arguing technique. No matter what they did wrong, they somehow manage to become the victim of the situation. They have an almost supernatural ability to flip any scenario until you're the bad guy and they're the poor, misunderstood victim. Let's say they forgot your birthday. A normal person might apologize and try to make it up to you. A narcissist will explain how your birthday is actually a source of stress for them, that because you have such high expectations. And really, aren't you being a bit selfish for making them feel bad about forgetting? Don't you care about their feelings? Before you know it, you're comforting them about the terrible burden of having to remember your birthday. It's like being in an alternate reality where gravity flows upward and water is dry. This technique exploits most people's natural empathy and desire to be understanding. They weaponize your kindness against you, turning your legitimate complaints into opportunities for them to receive sympathy and attention. Tactic number 5, the word salad special. When all else fails, narcissists deploy what psychologists call word salad, a confusing barrage of words, accusations, and tangents designed to overwhelm your cognitive processing abilities. They'll throw out so many different points, accusations, and distractions that your brain can't keep up. It might sound like, well, you're one to talk about being irresponsible when you're the one who never follows through on anything. And speaking of following through, remember when you said you'd support my career, but then you got jealous when I got promoted? Which reminds me of how you always undermine my success because you're insecure about your own failures. And that's exactly what your mother does, by the way, which explains so much about your behavior patterns. By the time they finish, you're mentally exhausted and unsure of how to respond to the 15 different accusations they've just leveled at you. This is intentional. They're trying to overwhelm your processing capacity so you give up trying to defend yourself. Now that you understand their tactics, let me teach you how to beat them at their own game. Strategy number 1, the broken record technique. Narcissists rely on you getting distracted by their tactics. Don't take the bait. Pick one specific point and stick to it like glue, no matter how much they try to redirect the conversation. If they forgot to pick up groceries, keep bringing it back to groceries. When they try to make it about your controlling behavior, you say, "We can discuss my behavior separately. Right now we're talking about the groceries you agreed to pick up." When they bring up something from 5 years ago, you say, "That's a different conversation. We're talking about today's groceries." When they try to become the victim, you say, "I understand you have feelings about this. We're still talking about the groceries." This situation drives narcissists absolutely crazy because they can't use their usual deflection tactics. You're forcing them to stay on topic, which is their kryptonite. Strategy number 2, the gray rock method. Sometimes the best way to win an argument with a narcissist is not to play their game at all. The gray rock method involves becoming as boring and unresponsive as possible. You give short, factual responses without emotional engagement. Narcissist, you're being so unreasonable about this grocery situation. I can't believe how controlling you're being. Gray rock. Response. I asked you to pick up groceries. You didn't. That's what happened. Narcissist. You're impossible to talk to when you get like this. You never listen to my side. Gray rock response. The groceries weren't picked up. This technique works because narcissists feed on emotional reactions. When you don't give them the drama they're looking for, they often get bored and move on to easier targets. Strategy number 3, the documentation defense. Narcissists rely on gaslighting and memory manipulation. Protect yourself by keeping records. Send important requests via text or email so you have written proof. Keep a private journal of significant conversations and incidents. When they try to rewrite history, you can refer to your documentation. Actually, here's the text where you agreed to pick up groceries. This neutralizes their reality revision attempts. Strategy number 4, the boundary fortress. Set clear, specific boundaries about what behavior you will and won't tolerate in arguments. For example, I don't continue conversations when people raise their voice, or I don't discuss the past when we're trying to solve a current problem. When they violate these boundaries, follow through immediately. Leave the room, end the phone call, or refuse to engage further. Narcissists only respect boundaries that are consistently enforced. Strategy number 5, the audience advantage. Narcissists behave very differently when there are witnesses. They rely on private manipulation and usually tone down their tactics when others are present. If possible, have important conversations in front of neutral third parties. This doesn't mean airing your dirty laundry in public, but having a witness can dramatically change the dynamic and force them to use more reasonable behavior. Here's the most important thing to understand. You can't actually win an argument with a true narcissist in the traditional sense. They will never admit they're wrong, apologize sincerely, or change their behavior based on logical discussion. The goal isn't to convince them, it's to protect your own sanity and maintain your grip on reality. Sometimes, the biggest victory is simply refusing to play their game. You don't have to convince them that you're right. You don't have to make them understand your perspective. You just have to protect yourself from their psychological manipulation and maintain your own sense of truth. Remember, arguing with a narcissist is like playing chess with a pigeon. No matter how good your strategy is, the pigeon is going to knock over the pieces, crap on the board, and strut around like it won. Your job isn't to teach the pigeon how to play chess, it's to protect your board and find better players. The ultimate power move against a narcissist is not needing their validation or agreement. When you stop trying to convince them and start focusing on protecting yourself, you've already won the only game that actually matters. If you found this video helpful in managing the narcissists in your life, we encourage you to subscribe to Mind Vault. We're building a community of people who understand psychological manipulation and know how to protect themselves from toxic behavior. Next week, I'm revealing the specific phrases that narcissists use to manipulate your emotions and make you doubt yourself. These verbal weapons are incredibly powerful, but once you know what to listen for, you'll never fall for them again. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss it, and let me know in the comments. What's the most ridiculous thing a narcissist has ever tried to argue with you about? I bet the stories are going to be absolutely wild. Remember, you don't have to win every argument to win at life. Sometimes the smartest move is refusing to play a rigged game. Until next time, stay sharp, stay protected, and keep unlocking the secrets of the human mind.